How's it going? I'm Coral Dunbar, a fitness and wellness coach, specifically for women wanting to get their health together, moms wanting to feed their families better, and prioritize their own self-care. Today I'm talking about gut health, what causes an imbalanced gut, dangers of antibiotics, and what you need to know about GMO foods. So, an imbalanced gut is basically our intestines are full of bacteria, right? So specifically our large intestine has a whole slew of bacteria, yeasts, and fungi. And all of these can be good bacteria, good yeast, good fungi, or bad. And so we want a huge variety of good bacteria, and we want to try to suppress that bad bacteria from taking over, the bad yeast, things like that. So what causes a huge imbalance of your gut? Well, a number of factors, but one of the main things is antibiotics. And so we, as children, our parents' generation, were told to, not told to, but if our kids were sick, if they had an ear infection, they were taken to the doctor and given antibiotics. And so many people my age, I'm in my late 20s, have had many rounds of antibiotics in their life. Now, disclaimer here, antibiotics are life-saving and they have done wonders for increasing the longevity of our race, absolutely. But I do think that they are used unnecessarily often when our immune system really hasn't had a chance to actually fight for itself and get over whatever it is that we need to get over on its own. Or they're used at times that they may not even be helpful. So antibiotics fight bacteria, they do not fight viruses. So if you have a virus and you're given antibiotics, it actually may not help you because it won't kill the virus, and then it will damage the good bacteria in our gut. 80% of our immune cells are in our gut as well, and pretty much inhibit our immune system from fighting off that virus naturally and letting it run its course. So I do like to think, before anyone in my family takes antibiotics, we really like to think, is this really necessary? My husband went to the doctor not that long ago for an ingrown nail that was infected. And the doctor was like, okay, I'm going to prescribe you antibiotics. And my husband said, well, are they absolutely necessary? Do I really need to take them for this? And the doctor was kind of taken aback in a good way. He was like, oh, wow. No, I just expect most people to, want the antibiotics. And he's like, I don't think it's absolutely necessary. My husband was like, I'd rather not mess with my gut health right now. And the doctor was like, wow, you really know what you're talking about. Yeah, we drained all the fluids out, so I would just keep an eye on it and, come back if it gets worse. So when my husband came home, I gave him garlic and turmeric and things that are kind of natural herbal antibiotics, and it cleared up, and he did not have to take antibiotics for the infected fingernail. And yeah, the doctor was like actually really impressed that he knew that it was even connected to the gut health, and that he took the second question to say, hey, do I really need this? So that's definitely something that you can always discuss with your doctor and be like, can I see how it goes without for a little bit and work on building up your immune system naturally? So why would you want to avoid antibiotics so badly? Antibiotics, one round of antibiotics is like an atomic bomb on your digestive system. So it kills all the bacteria, good and bad, in your digestive system. And it takes a really long time for us to build up a diverse system. Microbiome is what we call it. All the bacteria living in our bodies, specifically our gut. It takes a really long time to cultivate a diverse garden in there, and we want variety of good plants and lots of different bacteria in there. And when we take antibiotics, what happens is the bad bacteria grow back quicker. They're quicker to colonize. They take advantage of the fact that you've just been wiped out. The antibiotics can literally kind of scrape the lining of your gut. You have a mucus layer that protects your gut. And so those antibiotics can basically scrape that down and cause more irritation and more inflammation than you had before. And I've even heard, I've listened to many podcasts and read many articles on this, that one round of antibiotics alters your microbiome, which is the symbiosis of bacteria in your body, specifically your gut. It alters that for the rest of your life. So not to say you can't get back to a good state, but you'll never be at the state that you were in before you took those antibiotics. It changes everything. It just blows it all up in the air, and then it's up to you really to cultivate good bacteria back in that garden. And that can be tricky, because any sugars that we eat, any empty carbs that we eat, are going to feed yeast like Candida and other bacteria, and it's going to feed that, and that can overgrow and basically hijack our system. So if we do take antibiotics, what are the best steps to take after we're finishing that round or that dose? The best thing to do is to temporarily cut out refined sugar and gluten, because gluten is, some people tolerate it fine, and that's fine. You may just want to cut it out temporarily because it is inflammatory, and so it can kind of irritate the lining of our gut right after we've nuked it, basically. And then the other thing that you want to do is eat a variety of fermented foods, and specifically sauerkraut, kimchi. These are really, really easy to digest. You want to make sure you get or make raw sauerkraut that's not pasteurized, because that kills any of the probiotics in it. And those are like some of the best things to start colonizing the gut. So you don't have to eat those by themselves. Eat that with maybe some bone broth that will help that mucus layer protect. Eat that with some meat, veggies, a little bit of fruit. I wouldn't overdo the fruit right afterwards, because it still is sugar. And any advantageous bacteria will kind of take that and run with it. A little bit's fine, but I definitely would emphasize protein, veggies, broths, and fermented foods following antibiotics to try to really get your gut health in a good mode from the start. So antibiotics is probably the most major irritant of our gut that we can have. And it's worrisome. Some people are on and off antibiotics for years and years of their life, and I just heard that the FDA even took back a certain strain of antibiotics they'd be using, because a few people had been using that antibiotics regularly for years and are now severely disabled and just cannot function properly. So be wary and be educated on that. The other huge irritant for our gut that you might not be thinking about at all, most people probably aren't, and that is pesticides and herbicides. So specifically, though, I'm going to talk about the most hardcore one, which is glyphosate or Roundup. And so Roundup is, it's a weed killer. You maybe have used it in your yard or something like that, and it kills anything green. And, it's labeled a toxin. We're not even supposed to keep it under our kitchen sink, because our kids can't get a hold of it because it's so toxic. And it should kill any living plant, right? But what they've done with genetically modified foods is that they've engineered certain crops to be able to be Roundup resistant, or do they call it Roundup ready? And so those crops are made to withstand Roundup, and which is also glyphosate. And so they can get sprayed and everything around them dies while they survive. What's worrisome about that is a lot of this Roundup is still on the plant when we're eating it. And so Not to like send you scary and running in the other direction in all ways. Like you can shop, organic and conventional at the same time without really breaking the bank. But the conventional foods that you want to watch out for are corn, soy, and cotton. Now, okay, cotton, yeah, that sounds weird. We wear that on our clothes. That's not in our food. Well, actually, it is in our food if you look a little closer. Cottonseed oil is actually used as a vegetable oil in many, many foods. Specifically, the most common place I've seen it is coffee creamers. Kind of random, but a lot of people use coffee creamer every morning, and it has a lot of vegetable oil, which vegetable oil is really not good for us in general, but if it's cottonseed oil, soybean oil, corn oil, then it also is a GMO crop, unless it's organic. Organic, or if it has like a non-GMO sign, GMO-free verified sign, then those are good. I'm deciding whether I want to get into the topic of GMOs in a larger basis, but I think I'm just going to kind of stick to knowing what crops are mainly GMO and knowing that it's important to buy organic in those crops and look out for that cottonseed oil. I've also heard that cotton is like snuck in as a filler for certain highly processed foods because it's very cheap. It's in a lot of brand new clothes. You're wearing cotton, and yes, you're not ingesting it through your mouth, but you absorb toxins through your skin. In about 8 seconds, you can absorb anything through your skin, whether you're using a lotion or if it's on a brand new pair of clothing that you've never washed. It's very likely it has very high toxins in it. It's good to wash your clothes or buy them used. And, something that's been washed a lot of times isn't going to have as many pesticides. But the thing about absorbing things through our skin is that it does not pass through our liver, so we don't have the same kind of filtration. It just goes straight to our bloodstream. So I know it doesn't sound so worrisome. Cotton, well, that's not that big of a deal, but it can be if you think about it a little more. And then corn products are really found everywhere. Soy products are found everywhere also. And those could be a huge, huge irritant of your gut. The other thing I really like to notice is I keep my eye on the Clean 15 and the Dirty Dozen. So this is basically a list of produce that has been tested after it's been washed for pesticide residue, like within the actual fruit or vegetable. So if it's like a banana, it's been peeled first, and they're testing the actual part that you're eating, or once you've washed it and all that. And so I like to just kind of have a mental list, or I kept it on my phone before I kind of memorized it, of what the top pesticide crops are, pesticide residue. So like apples, berries, greens like kale, things like that are actually really important to buy organic. But then I also like to know what has really low pesticide residue, like onions, like bananas, avocados, things like that. I don't splurge on organic just because I am on a budget. It is good to buy organic to support organic farmers and the whole organic farming industry, but if you're trying to eat healthy and, save a little bit of money, there are some things on that Clean 15 list. You can just Google search Dirty Dozen Clean 15, and there's certain things that you don't have to buy organic. Okay, I think that was all I wanted to talk about, and let me know if you have any questions. Thanks for tuning in today.